And now for the return of the legendary mercenary engineer, John Hawk. This is one of my earlier round replays of Makeup Game versus Regina Day, and her High Elven Warband, which has one of the prettiest backstories. I'm actually looking at this beautiful little homebrew page she put together right now. Yeah, it's the Alarian host. So the Duchy of Alaria borders the kingdoms of Averlorn and Safari, and Princess... or Lady Anafin, rather, is the princess here. She is the Duchess of Aliara. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. And then we've also got Elena, the mage here from the White Tower, the fire mage mounted up on the dragon. I believe there is also Princess Evelyn here as well, who is the handmaiden of the Everqueen. I'm going to edit in right now. Regina actually made like custom character models for these, which look absolutely amazing. I'm not gonna lie, she definitely wins the like backstory contest. Not that we actually had one, but if I were to judge a backstory contest, she would probably win for having the prettiest backstory. And I mean, making custom character unit models, like, come on, that's amazing. Anyway, yeah, enough of me gushing over her work. Now let's get to the battle. Of course, this is an earlier round, so I've got the the landship and the steam tank both, but just one single long rifle. We do have the full complement of war wagons, with Patchy the engineer leading the way, and a Free Company militia along with spearmen. Big old line of then. Gelden is hiding in the woods there, the gold wizard. And right away you can see the mortar wagons also doing their work. Regular wagon's going to pull over to the far side here as I see some cavalry. There's some silver helms pushing the far side with Princess Evelyn leading them. Spearmen taking the center here, and a nice block of archers. A few silver helms chilling in a secret back there as well. Right now, Princess Anafin and Ilion are just slinging fireballs and arrows at long range, dealing some damage at a distance, keeping themselves out of harm's way for the most part of the guns here. See the pigeon bogs being dropped in the front line. I thought it was going to be a swing and a miss, but the area of effect is actually much wider than the impact indicator would indicate. See a Searing Doom dropping then there as well. And it's going to be a brutal slog in the front line between the Empire and High Elven Spearmen. The Free Company, wherever they can, are going to get into a position to try and fire into the flanks and rear of said Spearmen. There are some Silver and Guard mixed in here as well. Try and hit them with a Plague of Rust if we can, to tear away their decent armor. You can see that minus 60 puts them down to only 15, opens them up to greater damage from the Free Company. Patchy and the War Wagons just kiting back, skirmishing these Silver Helms, trying to perhaps pull them out of position. But speaking of being pulled out of position here, the long rifles being focused by the archers. So far, Regina doing a really nice job focusing various targets. One of the Free Company got absolutely wrecked already. But I do manage to get the long rifles back to the cover of the woods, only taking a moderate amount of damage. And I'm going to send in John Hawk and his steam tank very bravely, along with the mortars, the counterfire here, get some good disruption. We're going to send the landship over here as well in just a minute. But this is going to open him up to some danger. You can see the two High Elven characters lurking, both loosing some shots in his direction. It looks like the Silver Helms did manage to get up and around, finally just crushing what's left of the Free Company, getting in on those mortar wagons to try and protect what's left of the archers. I did manage to get a nice leadership break there with the tank, so that's good for me to be able to push those archers away, kind of protect some high-value units a little bit, set up a nice center fort with these war wagons, basically just prioritizing shooting the cavalry for now. But John's definitely going to be in a bit of trouble against the dragon here. The landship will provide some covering fire, as will the war wagons. Also going to drop a Plague of Rust here, just in case. Yeah, down to just 10 armor, even the Free Company. And, you know, non-armor piercing shooting of those gun units will do a little bit extra with that uptime. Steam gun as well of the steam tank. You can see Princess Anafin here lurking, or Lady Anafin rather, lurking, ready to dive down once more. We're going to get a pigeon bomb on this Silver Helm that had come in here to tie up the war wagons. Try and break them off. The mortar wagons have been dealt with, and John also taking a significant amount of damage at this point. Landship collapses here, and I am forced to pull back the war wagons. You can see the guns on the hill, though. You could barely just see them in the woods there. More so the traces of their bullets firing through. The Hawkland long rifles. Aim is true, and yeah, Lady Anafin definitely feeling the heat of the gunpowder right now. Focus fire all my gun units on her. Just the damage is significant on her Griffin mount. She's a relatively small target, but gonna try and jump down and finish off John's tank here if she can as her last breath. Also, you know, the diving up and down does dodge a little bit of shots, but lands there relatively stationary for just a moment. Takes another brutal couple of volleys, and fortunately that cascading fire cloak not enough to save her. Oh, flaming sword of ruin on the mage there, but she just gets, yeah, Griffin just gets straight up yatted. Lady Anafin gets wounded. And with that loss, the balance power tips pretty decisively. We've got a handful of spearmen out here in space, kind of contesting against the regrouping Wood Elves. And yeah, Elena as well. I guess I probably pronounced that wrong, but yeah, Elena also just gonna get gatted by the war wagons and whatnot. The guns of the Empire holding just so. And yeah, the Master Engineer here, John Hawk's tank, manages to just barely survive. Deadly onslaught here. Less than 1,000 HP left. Little Searing Doom. Stone grenade launcher just blasting the tree there. But nonetheless, victory for the Empire. And a fun one for sure. Great game to Regina. And like I said, definitely wins the style competition, I will say for sure. And it was a fun game for sure. I mean, I definitely thought John was possibly lost at a certain point, but the focus of the Empire guns is just so strong. With the war wagons and the long rifles, yeah, them being able to pull back to that woodland position was actually super important. I mean, not only was I able to break the archers, but even had they been able to like keep up the pressure on them, I mean, ultimately with that much volume, you still get through the trees, but still, it was a nice position for you to have them in. Yeah, overall, all the war wagons, the mortar wagons even performing quite nicely. Tank being a tank, fulfilling the role of a tank quite well. Just the build, I mean, you don't expect Free Company and Spearmen to do a lot, and they don't. So that's fine. 192 kills on the land ship as well. It's just such a huge piece, such a big distraction. Even if Regina had been able to finish off John Hawk here, finish off the tank, the land ship was going to be pretty tough at the end of the day, but put up her best fight for sure. And yeah, both the single entities here got some pretty respectable value. I think Princess on the Griffin is relatively cheap as far as like overall cost goes, so she's probably pretty close to paying for herself. The Fire Mage, I think, is it over 2,000? I actually forget. Just under, so pretty close. But, yeah, the Spearmen, I mean, the map, I thought maybe I would have some issues with line of sight, but just sort of, given Regina's Warband build here, didn't have a lot of ways to kind of pull me out of position and capitalize on some of those interrupted lines of sight, given she had a fairly infantry-centric composition. But nonetheless, very fun. I do have some more Warband replays to bring you guys this week, so be sure to stay tuned for more. Subscribe if you want to see that. Like the video if you like it. Share it with a friend. It's all very helpful. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time.